I'm briefly getting a drink ready to accompany me during this setup, as I am expecting it to be a long one, at least in real time, but don't worry, I'll be sure to set this up a lot quicker for y'all to enjoy. Joining me today, I have my A6 Common Planner from Sterling Ink. And also, as a little companion, I also have a spare notebook where I just jot down a bunch of scratch notes and ideas. So far, I've been using it to write down a couple of quarter goals that I've been considering, just so I won't lose track of the things that I would like to implement or have ideas for this new quarter. And at the start of the year, I did work on setting up this yearly goals page, and here is where I want to start my planning for this quarter. Even before reviewing what happened in quarter one, I just want to look at my yearly goals and have a fresh mind towards how I can accomplish this in this quarter. This allows me to feel like I am having a fresh start and not carrying any luggage from the previous months. It helps me feel more confident in the possibility of what I could do this upcoming quarter. I do have my goals divided into sections. So what I am doing right now is briefly reading what the overall yearly goal is and seeing what I could possibly do within the next quarter to move towards that goal. Now, as I write down the quarter scope underneath, I'm trying to break it down to see what I could do month by month. So one example of this is I've been considering keeping a journal to write down notable memories of my children's development and experiences. Not so much a daily log, as trust me, like I am not someone who likes to separate time to journal. So the notebook would serve more of a place to consolidate small letters that both my husband and I would like to write to our daughters throughout the years of just different things that happened regarding them. So I definitely want to start off my firstborn's journal with how I felt when I learned I was pregnant with her, her dad's reactions, gender reveal moments, and her overall birth story. With her almost being 3, like there's a lot I have to catch up on. So this is definitely something I want to start. But as you can imagine, in the great scheme of things, there are other tasks that are currently more urgent. So as my quarter goal, I'm going to keep it very broad. And my quarter goal is just going to be to start writing in these journals. As for my monthly goal, in April, I plan to write out the big events of my first pregnancy. And then in May, I will continue with the birth story. Hopefully, like that, by June, I can be on track to start writing about my second pregnancy. A really good tip I got from my boss was for us to see our quarter as where we want to go. So yearly and quarter goals is more where do you want to go? And monthly and weekly goals is how will you get there? So definitely being a lot more specific as to what you're going to do. Being completely honest here, let's ignore the following page, which is where I initially planned to keep track of my exercises. But this pregnancy has just really had me exhausted, and I haven't quite figured out how to use this space yet. So we'll pass this on. And the next part I want to show you is my quarter setup. Last year, I had this same planner, but in the B6 size. So it was the exact same quarter spread. And I had a difficult time knowing what to write here initially too. Horizontal layout just really screws with my head. I did try keeping in here my monthly goals and quarterly goals, and it just did not work with the way I had it set up. again, horizontal just does not work with my brain. And then on the opposite side, I had kept like a list of the like tracking daily things, but that wasn't useful. So instead, I was like, maybe if I write like a short memo of what happened every week, so I can keep like a better storyline of what happened. So that was my thought. Like, let me journal the overall scope of the month and then use the opposite side to journal the overall scope of the week. But as you can see, nothing happened. Nothing got journaled in whatsoever. So again, for this new quarter, I'm going to change my mind about it and work it out a little differently, which you will see shortly how that came about. But the quarter was actually set up in some of my notes pages. So instead of keeping any goals here, since I thought I was going to write it for memory log, I decided to make a section for it over on this end. So here's where I had my quarter set up. I did a brief journaling of what I wanted to focus on for these first 3 months of the year, where I wanted my energy to go to, and the things that more or less I wanted to do for every month. Now, I like that brainstorming setup, but I did notice that because of where it is in my notes pages, I just didn't find myself coming back to it as often. I want to say that it was just like placement. I didn't have any like labels to make it stand out. And when everyone started, I honestly don't even recall coming back to here much to check what was going on. So I had a great initial plan of like setting it up and getting it ready. But as you can see, February and March goals are almost non-existent because I didn't really come back to this. So I'm making it even simpler for me this week. Just before moving on, I did actually, surprisingly, dedicate a little bit of time to not only analyze what I initially wanted to do for this quarter, but also journal up what happened, just to be more clear with myself of, it wasn't entirely that nothing got done, but just the focus of what was during these last 3 months and how we're planning to change that moving ahead. Talking about changes, one thing I did start in April was an inbox of just a bunch of random tasks that I did not know where else to put. So as I was closing off the previous quarter and I saw certain tasks that I wasn't sure where to place for now, this is where I went ahead and put them in. This is right next to what's going to be my title page. So I'm not going to lie, I've never tried this before. I hope I don't just end up with a long list that never gets tended to. But throughout the month, I'll show you guys how it's going. And hopefully we don't get like a double as long list for May because nothing got crossed off. But yeah, let me know. Let me know what other things you guys add to your inbox to help consolidate all of the information on it, since for me, it is kind of like overlapping with work and house and personal. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that. And we're finally ready. I've seen my yearly goals, written down my ideas, then took some time to check out my last quarter, reviewed that, and added some more ideas to this. Now, to help my brain out, you will notice that that right page, I've kind of done a line down through it, not through the middle, because I did know my quarters, since they're a little more specific, I tend to write more for them. So I give myself a little more space on the right-hand side than on the left-hand side. My thoughts are for on that top section, if you all have the Common Planner, it actually has it set up as priorities. So in that first box of priorities, I'm going to focus on the overall quarter goals. And then underneath for April, May, and June, I'm going to separate what the monthly goals are so far set to be. This is the final result of my quarterly planning. As I began outlining my goals, I decided it would be best to color code related tasks. So my work tasks are represented in blue, and you can see this same color on my quarter goals. and then it is further broken down by month with the same blue color in each section. Lastly, there were some important things that I didn't want to miss. Like for example, we have to purchase a new bed for my daughter, so like that her crib can now go on to her sibling. So again, important things, but that I still have a little bit of time for. These tasks were not underneath my quarter goals because they're smaller things that I just have to remember to do. So in order to make sure I don't forget them, I wrote them on a sticky note on the right side page. Again, I didn't want to put this in my inbox because I'm not sure how that's gonna work. If I knew that I was already very centered with working out that inbox, I would have probably placed them there. But since these have a little bit of more weight to them, I'd rather keep them front and center. So I just put them on a sticky note for now. So as the months go on, I don't forget to do these additional little things. In case any further ideas pop up for the next quarter, I'm just going to go ahead and leave this sticky note here. Like that, I can start brainstorming anything that I would like to consider for the following 3 months. That wraps up today's video. A quick run through of what happened today. We went through our yearly goals to see how we could best set up this new quarter. For those of you who like the view of realistic planning, this is where all of the real brainstorming went down before it got into my pretty planner pages. We also gave a quick look of our previous quarter to see what tasks could be transferred, as well as to analyze the wins we had throughout the months and where we could have done a little better. All this was put together into a section where I could keep note of all of my quarterly goals. And the great thing about this is that now I have my April goals as well as May and June. So I feel quite accomplished with this setup currently. I hope it works as good as I planned it to, and hopefully you got some ideas for your own planning. I can't wait to see you guys for the next one to show you all how this is working for me so far and how the first week of April came out.